This is day 20 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, and we are starting from Siman Yud Sif Dalin, going to Siman Yud Sif Tes. Dover Bashru, it's clear the Zeshamash Kanafika Balachson, Nasa Bas Chamesh Chai Betzitzis, Bechotech Mikta So. This is where, now, it's not clear to me what the Arukh HaShulchan is talking about here. He seems to go back and forth from a case where you cut into the garment, a case where you cut off of the garment. Cutting into the garment obviously would make two triangles, which happen to share a cut in the middle as being the side of each one. Or it could be talking about where you cut a triangle off the garment and now you have two corners at a sub distance from each other. So when you cut directly into the garment, you'll have two corners, but they'll be directly adjacent to each other. When you cut cut the corner in a triangle of the corner, you'll have two corners. They won't be exactly adjacent to each other unless the cut is very, very small. Okay, so Dover Pashtu says Shamarno. It's a clear thing that it's a simple thing. I always said that if you cut a corner on an angle, that this is it becomes a 5-corner garment. It's chay b'tzitzis. Zeh b'chotach mikta so. That's if you cut half of it. Now it seems less than half, less than half. In other words, it seems they're going straight into the garment, and you're cutting it that way. Because in this case, because if you cut half the garment or more on an angle, then you have two three-cornered garments, because the garment split as if it's rent in two, as opposed to one garment of 5 corners. The Chomer Bakenu, any squares like that, we divided in half on an angle, cutting into the square. Each one will have 3 protrusions, will be a triangle. If you cut less than half, then you have 5 corners, have Z2 are next to each other. And if it's a garment which has 3 corners, and you cut one of the corners on an angle, because now 4 corners. So he says in this case you need some distance. The Zayin Svar Lamar Klal doesn't make sense like the Shechatach Mashu Balachson. It's a Knaf Nechshavenu Kishnei Knafim. Now here the Arukh HaShulchan seems to be talking about where you cut across and make a triangle. And he says if you have the 2 corners are really right next to each other, it doesn't make sense to consider them 2 separate corners. So there has to be some gap between the corners, and that gap has to be a tefach. That's what he says. Again, the Eitzver Lomar Klaus, Shechatach Mashu Belson, Eitz Akarab, Nachshanek Kishnei Knofim. V'yera lead the Tzorech Lachtok Tefach Al Pachos. He says you have to cut a tefach across. Or Efshar Dai B'Sholosh It's both. So each the corner of now your 5-corner garments at the original 1 corner, now it becomes 2 corners when there's a separation between each corner by 4 by tefach, or at least 3 fingers. Because by tuma 3 by 3 is considered to be a significance. It's not clear. So again, this is clearly talking about where he's cutting a triangle off the corner of the garment. If you cut the triangle off the corner of the garment, and it now becomes equal. In other words, there's a sharp edge between the 2 corners which you just cut. And now kind of eagle, but if you cut it the circumference and it made it like a circle, it could be that here is where actually Arukh HaShulchan is going from cutting into the garment to cutting around the garment, because it says now we're going around the garment as opposed to into it. Now says that eagle, then this corner becomes like a circle. If it becomes like a circle, there's a circular corner, it's not a corner. The corners have to look like they are square and not rounded. The Yerli says there has to be some continuity in the circle. A tiny circular edge at the end will not be considered necessarily a circle like this in this suit. Perhaps it's not considered to be a circle because It's really just rounded at the very end. But so therefore he says the bezetzer shlosh tvachim. So it's a little bit of a chumrah. It requires 3 tvachim of roundness. I don't think in the back of a frock, where they round the corner by the slit in the back, they necessarily have a 3 tefach circular rounded corner. I think it's less than that. But Arukh HaShulchan says 3 tvachim. Klomar shem she'ikul saviv yesh shlosh tvachim. The circular edge should be 3 tvachim in its extent. Mishnah Berurah is not clear if that's sufficient. What the shear is. A rip is not like a cut. Has to be when they say it has to be a cut. It looks like a dalet, and that means that it's a corner, which causes Mishnah Berurah. First time Arukh HaShulchan quotes the Mishnah Berurah. Ding ding ding. And Mordechai says you need a gap between the corners. Again, at least it has to be exposed, perhaps a tefach. Ches. Rambam Perek Aleph Din Yud Zayin. Rambam writes that ain't koflin is talis l'shnaim. You can't double your talis in 2, fold into 2. Matzil tzitzis al arba kanfos and put tzitzis on the 4 corners shikfula, because then you're really putting the tzitzis on the folds in the middle of the garment, not in the corner. Elikei tafra kula. Unless you completely you saw it completely, you even saw on one side, because then obviously it's no longer considered to be a beged folded in 2, but one double walled beged. Because as that Tushim Lashon Rosh near Shecheves Afa Bisha Lot for a Kal Akan Lashono. So it says that the sounds in the Rosh that even if you don't so roll, it still is considered to be a new corner by the fold. Kavanaso, it means to say Shecheves Barba Kanfos B'Kmo Shehi Muvshetes. So it says don't think that way. It means that it's required. You put the arba kanfos, the tzitzis, where they would be when it's unfolded. And then if you fold it over, it's still chayv and tzitzis, but they are where in the corners where it be where it's unfolded. It's like Rabbanim Menachos Memav Amarav, the Pliger Rabbi Shimon the Poit the Shepoter, who exempts such a garment from tzitzis. V'av shivri Rambam enam bevor elashal kefil enosim. Even if the Rambam it's only it seems clear that you don't make it on the fold. Migom kom nevertheless mashli the two di salka daitach. The Rambam feel karosh. Nevertheless, it's from the 2 rows. If the Rambam holds like the rush, have the virus, they should have explained this. Therefore, he passed the 2 rows. The Rambam plays Rabbi Shimon Sham shepoter. The Shimon says it's exempt unless it's sewn shut, because it's it wouldn't be the talus would not the scissors would not be in the right places when it was extended to its full length. Rabbi Shimon Chayv Barba Kanfos Muvshatos. Rabbi Yosef argues into it, says even going to Shimon, the tzitzis go on the 4 corners when extended. This is also in the Rosh. He seek a love mishum the Rosh Rabbi Shimon poter mashal gamrei poter. The Ramah argues, and he says Rabbi Shimon says poter sounds like poter altogether. Let's see there the Moshe is not completely clear. Nevertheless, and regardless, on the extended corners when it's extended, you're liable for tzitzis ein sham. Sif vav. But when the Beis Yosef came to write the Rama came to write in the Shulchan Aruch, he writes differently. He wrote the Darkei Moshe. Shrapeinu Beis Yosef tikti Rambam. The Beis Yosef copies the Rambam who Kosav said that you have to put the 4 tzitzis to the 4 extended corners. Then he wrote, some say the chayav and afilu below tefira, that you have to have tzitzis even if you didn't so it's shut. It's best to make tzitzis for it, but not to make a bracha. Ad kan l'shono. That's in the quote. Kavan also, What he means to say is that the Yeshomim, according to that, Yeshomim Chebes Arba Kanfoseh Hakfulos. It's well on the four folded corners specifically. The Mefarshi the Rabbanon, because that's how they explain the Rabbanon. Shekmanos okay, that's what the Rabbanon meant. The Pasuk Rabbanon, they are Pasuk Rabbanon. So they laid the Zesh Kosa Batur, and they hold that which the Torah writes. Sharosha Mechayev, gone below Tafra. The Rosh required tzitzis even where you didn't seal the folded garment, folded garment shot. Hainal Kanfos Akfulos, that's on the doubled corners. With Lokam Ashbrash Sifakodim, not like we were on the previous Sif. But this is an astonishing thing. The Kamish Gemara Shamefurash Dama Roim Spir Luhu. Since the more there, it's clear that the Amorim hold. They in Lasos Arba Kanfos Akfulos Ayin Sham. They should make tzitzis on the folded corners. You can hear the pshita, the pash, the brisa mashma, the Rana Chayv Akfulos. Even to say that the simple understanding of the brisa indicates the Rabbanan tell you to make the tzitzis on the folds. Nevertheless, came Amorim the Chola, since Amorim pushed this aside. If Shalim is okay, how can you pass him like that? For Rosh Atiku Diva Brisa of Diva Amorim, for low Kasu Klum, I ain't Shum. If the Rosh copy the Brisa and Amorim, and they don't elaborate in any way, shape, or form. But the Mukha Yosef, Pasak, Mefurash Levach, the Mukha Yosef is the exact opposite, that it goes on the corners when it's extended. Chena Rambam. Came in Nole that Rosh Cholikas. How would you know the Rosh argues on this? Well, maybe you ask. Well, Tur seems to indicate the Rosh argues. It's better to be a little bit doichak in the language of the Tur, like use a sledgehammer and push it in. The Lamar and say the Kamenosok of and say his intent is that it should be on the real extended corners, much for Kodem, than to make a machlekes here for naught. Svili the Rambam Gamba Pshuta sponsor, which cuts in Mukhayesev. And the two rules that according to the Rambam, the and the Mukhayesev, just like Mukhayesev wrote, even on your potter in all together on tzitzis. Avalomar davar neged psak hamorim. You say he's done against the psak hamorim, even though it's the pashas of the brisa. To me, this is astonishing to say v'tzarchi and godel. Now it's long brackets here. Besides that, the main point is missing. Probably the Vayar should explain the chiyuv al-kfulos, that the obligations on the folds. Avram asks, how can you fulfill all the opinions? Came the Rambam hachiyu b'muvshatos, since according to the Rambam, the obligations on the extended corners, the Rosh Bakfulos on the folded corners. Ayin Sham. Therefore, he says must be a mistake. Says must be a mistake. And the first Hagah is a mistake. And that's indicated by the Vush who does not bring it down. The Kavanah say Yeshua and the Yeshua means that you should put it on the extended corners. The Lokain, if not for that, the words of the Taz are not understood. According to this, everything works out well. Like we wrote the previous if. And Perush and Mukhayesev, Perush Rashi, that which they distinguish between Mukhayesev and Rashi, Ayin, Taz, Siv, and Zayim, Magen Avram Sham, a normal Mukhrach. It's not compelling. Ayin Sham, Heitei, V'duk. Look there analytically, and you will find that to be the case. Zayin, B'zesh Kasuv, Elenkein Tfarakula. That which you wrote, that the tzitzis don't go on the folds unless it's completely sewn. Even from one side. Nira Dachi Brusho. As I was showing, it seems to me like this. Tofra kula mi rosha beged ad sofo. You sewed it from its entirety, from the beginning of the garment until the end. Aval kol rak beruach achas, but only on one side. And keneged atzad shela kefel, meaning on a specific side, the tzad hayadua, which is opposite the side which is folded. In that case, it's no longer going to extend out again. For see, I saw someone said that fear he b'chol aruchos, that the sewing can be on in all the sides. I think he means any of the sides. Sorry, has to be on all the sides. That which they wrote this only on one side, even only once it suffices. Shekavanasam l'tfir chalusha. That this is talking about where where the kavana was for a weak stitch. This is actually another quote from the Mishnah Berurah. This is not clear, and language does not indicate this. So according to Mishnah Berurah, what it means is that, which is very big, very dochak in the lashon, but I see what Arukh HaShulchan doesn't like it. Tefillah achas doesn't mean on one side of the garment. It means there's a light stitching, and most of the stitching is on one side of the garment around the entire garment. Okay, so the stitching is miruach achas. The stitching is on one side of the hem, not on both sides of the hem, and that's considered tefillah chalusha. Supposed to, and not that it suffices to have a tefillah on one literal side of the garment. Okay, I hope that's clear to a certain extent, and it doesn't fall in the category of the Arukh HaShulchan's Lo Nihira Klau. Ches. Kasar Rabbeinu Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef writes specific gimel kefal kafa konas taliso v'kashram o tofram v'doime kilu kitzon v'elu kafos. If you doubled up the corners themselves and tied them or sewed them, so that it looks like you cuffed them off and it has no corners. Avo b'chein lo niftar doesn't make it exempt. Ad kan l'shono. Klar, meaning she be out corners, you lift up the corners, v'karcham be eagle, and you wrap them in a circle, because if they make triangles at each corner, you'll just have 8-corner garment. But you wrap them in a circle in order to nullify them from being corners. You worried you have cut them like that. You certainly be exempt from tzitzis, like we said earlier. But if you tie them, or feel tougher, and even sew them, that doesn't count to make it a circled corner, a round corner. Round corner. Even though we said we could fold in half, the tafra, and you sewed it, the mo'il that works, that's no similarity. The b'sham darka b'kach, that's a normal thing. People often do that. To fold a garment in half. But to fold in the corners, people do not do that. Therefore, you see it as if it has not been rounded. Therefore, you make the tzitzis as was hitherto. Because you're definitely going to bring the corners back to their original place. According to this, even if you double them over, not in a round fashion, but in a straight edge, it's also true. We should make the tzitzis in the first place. Make the tzitzis al hakefel. This is where you do double up like that. It works, and you put tzitzis on the corner, which could be somewhat significantly in from the actual corner of the garment. So what does that mean? We have to say according to them, to be eagle lo mani tefillah. Round it off, sewing doesn't work. And it's not like you fold in half. Because to not cancel the obligation of tzitzis, sewing doesn't work. Therefore, where you can't nullify the obligation, such as when you fold them over on an angle, where there are corners, still, the sewing works, because you're just going to put on more tzitzis, perhaps, depends. Obviously, we had machlekes. So according to the theory, they could go up to 8 tzitzis, but 4 you need regardless. Because in that case, the tefillah works that you may have more corners in your garment. So coming up, I'm going to have Ram, so you can down, which costs a shekel. So again, long brackets here. So this chaim for naught was astounded at him. The thing is a machlekes Tosfos imam Mordechai. This din is in a machlekes of Tosfos Mordechai v'kaful shnayim badek shir lo mahani rak tefira. And we fold it in half. Tying doesn't work, only sewing. Because about Mishnah Berurah, third Mishnah Berurah of the day. If you put the corner of the garment in the tufro and you sew it near a cloth, to the point that you don't see the fold on top, like the tailors do. Vadei mahani, it certainly works to make the garment a new shaped garment. Ein Sham benachonu. Arukh HaShulchan is masking. Come, nevertheless, nearly the lasos came bihul, a boat from tzitzis, but to do this in a round way and to exempt from tzitzis, lo ma'ani l'das ataysis shabiyarnu. Going taysis, you can't do that. In other words, you can make more corners and require yourself to put on more tzitzis, but you can't vatel the tzitzis by sewing up according to that taysis which you quoted. That test or no beged. Leather is not a garment. Tumas ksiv o beged or it says a garment or leather. If you tougher beged, even it took leather and sewed it like a garment, ain't no klum. Sanchaim tzitzis. Chazal he shall beged knafesh o chayavos. Only if the beged is a fabric and the corners of leather, that's obligated tzitzis. He shall knafesh o beged, but the vice versa, if it's made of fabric and its corners of garment, it's exempt. Okay, sorry about that. The Azim Basar Ikar Bega, we go after the primary garment, the Lo Basar Kanafayim, not after the corners. Af Shebahem Matina Tzitzis, even though you put the tzitzis in them. See, because it says Asher Techaseba, primary part is the part with which you cover yourself. And you cover yourself with the primary part of the garment, not with the kanafim, not with the corners. And so to the main part of the garment, in Ruba Baget, if most of it is fabric, or a minority of it is leather, it's liable tzitzis. If you move over, most of it is leather, and part of it is fabric, parts it's exempt. Vima oru tachton shel beged, if it's a lining in the garment, the leather, shekorin unterslak, obviously underlining of some sort, that doesn't make any difference. We go after the outer fabric of the garment, because that's primary. But when you put leather on in order to strengthen it, to reinforce it, such as where you sewed leather around the holes, in the corners, cloud, it's not a problem whatsoever. It doesn't negate the obligation of tzitzis. And not just because it's a minority of the beged. The kol anything which is to fortify is like the garment itself. Kind of like a zuke tikra by mezuzah, where it's not considered to be part of a door. Okay, v'lachein kasav Rashi shom is another brackets. Or knafim, its corners are made of leather. That's when you cut the corners and replace them with leather. Ayin sham. Or lamala. So you should have said the letters above the fabric. But in this case, it is to strengthen the garment. And even those who go after the corner, that's not relevant here. Hey, I have a machzis shekel the dog.